Today, we're deconstructing a single, top-secret military operation that literally redrew the map of the Middle East. It was a strike so flawlessly planned and so brutally effective that it took mere seconds to erase an entire government. This is the story of Operation Epic Fury. Okay, so picture this. The date is February 28th, 2026. The time is 7 a.m. sharp. We are 200 feet underground, deep beneath the streets of Tehran, inside a bunker that was built to withstand a full-on nuclear attack. And inside, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, and his entire senior command, I'm talking the 12 most powerful men in the country, are right in the middle of a meeting. They think they're untouchable. They could not be more wrong. These men had exactly 43 seconds to figure out what was happening. At the 30-second mark, you can imagine the dawning horror. They realize they've been found. Then, at 12 seconds, a deep, grinding vibration starts. Not through the air, but through the bedrock itself. It's the sound of something unimaginably massive tearing through solid earth. Then the lights die. The red emergency power kicks on for just a second, and then complete darkness, total silence. But here's the thing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a lucky shot in the dark. No. Ayatollah Khamenei and his entire war council were deliberately and brilliantly lured into this exact room at this exact time. The trap was set 6 months before, and it all started with a clue so small it was almost invisible. So to understand how this all went down, we have to rewind the clock by 6 months. The hunt for one of the most heavily guarded men on the planet didn't kick off with spies or satellites. It started with a single piece of digital breadcrumb, hiding in plain sight. So check this out. It all begins when a Mossad AI flags a completely random photo posted to social media. An analyst, probably half asleep with a coffee, spots something insane in a tiny reflection in a cafe window, a street sign for a restricted military zone that isn't on any public map. That tiny clue leads them to an off-the-grid compound. Satellites start watching and see a pattern. Every Saturday morning, 12 armored SUVs roll in. And then the money shot. A drone gets a 1.3-second glimpse of a face in a car window, and it's him. Ayatollah Khamenei. They found him. And just look at how fast things escalated. In September, it's just a blurry photo. By October, they've got a positive facial ID on the supreme leader. A month later, in November, a joint U.S.-Israeli task force spins up to figure out what the heck is going on in that bunker. And by December, the NSA works its magic, cracks encrypted communications, and confirms the unbelievable. It's not just Khamenei. It's Iran's entire senior command structure, all in one room, every single week. So you've got this piece of intelligence that is, frankly, unbelievable. How do you turn that into a real-world military plan? Well, you get the world's most powerful spy agencies together and you tell them to check, double-check, and triple-check every single detail. What happened next was a textbook case of intelligence fusion. You had Mossad, who found the where and the when. Then the CIA jumps in and hacks Tehran's power grid, not to cause a blackout, but just to watch. And sure enough, they see a massive, unexplained energy spike from that compound every Saturday morning. That confirms a big meeting is happening. Finally, the NSA brings it home, breaking the encryption and getting the names of every single person scheduled to be in that room. So, when the final intelligence memo lands on the president's desk, it doesn't mince words. This wasn't just a chance to take out a high-value target. The report called it, quote, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to completely decapitate a hostile regime in a single, decisive blow. Before giving the final go-ahead, the president asked for just one thing, the probability of success. What are the chances we pull this off? The CIA's final assessment, after all that work, came back with this number, a 94% chance of total success. The order was signed. With the plan greenlit, it was time for the execution phase. But this was never going to be about brute force alone. The entire success of Operation Epic Fury hinged on a massive, perfectly orchestrated deception. So here's how the trap was sprung. The U.S. very publicly moves 2 entire aircraft carrier strike groups into the Persian Gulf. Iran sees this and, thinking logically, they conclude an attack on their nuclear facilities is about to happen. So what do? They call an emergency meeting of their entire leadership at the one place they think is absolutely safe, the very same bunker that had been under surveillance for 6 months. And with that, the trap snapped shut. While Iran's military was staring at the carriers in the Gulf, the real threat was already in the air, coming from halfway across the planet. 3 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers had taken off from a base in Missouri, flying completely undetected by any Iranian radar. And what was in the belly of each of those B-2s? This thing, the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, a 30,000-pound bomb, the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the world. But the real genius of this weapon isn't just its size, it's what it was built to do. The GBU-57 was specifically engineered to smash through 200 feet of reinforced concrete before it detonates, which, of course, was the exact depth of the target bunker. At 7 a.m. sharp, the whole thing unfolded like a symphony of destruction. First, a massive diversion. Israeli F-35s hit air defense sites all over Tehran, creating total chaos. In the middle of that chaos, a single B-2 glides overhead and releases the GBU-57. It impacts, punches down 200 feet through rock and concrete, and detonates, collapsing the entire bunker complex. A second strike immediately takes out all 6 of the bunker's underground escape tunnels. And finally, ground-penetrating radar confirms it. No heat signatures, no movement, nothing. In just a few minutes, the operation was over. The entire leadership of Iran was gone, and the world was left staring at a terrifyingly complicated question. So, what happens now? Well, Iran's military did try to respond. They launched over 180 missiles and drones. But honestly, it was a total disaster. With no senior command to coordinate the attack, the launches were a chaotic mess, and nearly all of them were intercepted. The grand total of casualties for U.S. and Israeli forces was a single minor injury. The global reaction played out pretty much exactly as you'd expect. Russia and China were furious and condemned it. European allies issued some vaguely worded statements about being concerned, and Iran's rivals in the Gulf, like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who'd been clued in beforehand, stayed publicly quiet but were privately thrilled. Meanwhile, the U.S. declared it a resounding victory. The immediate result inside Iran was just pure chaos. The strike created a textbook power vacuum. The supreme leader was gone, the entire line of succession for his replacement was gone, the commanders of the military were gone. There was simply nobody left in charge of the country. In the hours and days that followed, intelligence analysts basically saw 3 possible roads ahead for a nation that suddenly had no government. Best case, a peaceful political transition. Worst cases, the country could either fragment into different ethnic or regional territories or descend into a brutal civil war for control, and nobody knew which way the chips would fall. And that leaves us with the ultimate chilling question that this entire operation raises. A government that commanded a massive military and controlled a nuclear program was found, targeted, and eliminated, all because of a reflection in a window of a coffee shop. But when you decapitate a regime that completely, who is left to pick up the pieces? Who even speaks for a government whose speaker has been permanently silenced?